5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome everybody to the first virtual book fair USA. Now we are going to present from Mexico, Sandy Mora with her book presentation, Emotional Alchemy, accompanied by the presenter, Sandi Amorim. Thank you so much. Go ahead, please.
Hello, and welcome. It's evening here in North America, and for people looking and listening from other parts of the world, welcome. Thank you for joining us for this virtual book fair. My name is Sandi Amorim. I am a master coach in the field of personal development, and today I am honored. I have the privilege of introducing you to our guest, who is also a good friend of mine and a very inspiring woman, Sandy Mora. Let me tell you a little bit about Sandy, and then we're going to jump right into her book and like what is so special about this book and how it can help you. So Sandy and I have known each other for, I think, about 6 years. And in that time, we've worked together, we have supported each other's journeys. And now I'm really delighted to introduce her as an author to her book, Emotional Alchemy: The Art of Transforming Adversity into Gold for Your Personal Growth. And I want you to know that this book is already an Amazon bestseller in Spanish. So why we're doing this launch is because now it is available in English, and that is very exciting. So I'll give you a little bit about Sandy's background, and then I'm going to start asking her questions so that you can hear all about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about what had her write this book in particular. So she has a bachelor's degree in communication sciences and a master's degree in human potential development. And here's the thing, she worked in the corporate world for 20 years in marketing and publicity in international companies. So it's quite an extraordinary journey from that long career to what she's doing now and what she's sharing in this book. The other thing that's very significant is that Sandy faced a series of significant life challenges that included breast cancer, divorce, health issues for one of her sons, other things that she's going to share with us. She's an author, a lecturer, a teacher of human development, a workshop leader, and a facilitator in resilience. She's also, for me, a treasured friend and a colleague. So let's begin with this. It's often said that every challenge has a gift. And for Sandy, these challenges in her life led to, I would say, a pretty significant shift in how she viewed her life. And it also allowed her to step into her purpose. She hosts an inspiring podcast called The Lemonade Club, Making the Most Out of Life, which is so great. And it was inspired by a saying, when life gives you lemons, what do? You make lemonade, right? So today I have the pleasure of welcoming her to celebrate the launch of the English translation of Emotional Alchemy. Welcome, Sandy. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you so much. And I'm so happy to have you here and so thankful and so honored that you agreed to be here with me and in this very special moment for me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. So, you know, I've been reading the book, and even though we've known each other for 6 years, I'm really keen to hear more about why you wrote it and how you came to choose the phrase emotional alchemy. I think that's my first question, is about the title. So I know you've gone through a lot in the last few years, but what does this title mean to you? Like, why? What had you choose it?
Well, as probably some of you know, the alchemists were these people, these scientists mixed with, you know, spiritual things and magic in the Middle Ages that tried constantly to find the philosopher's stone to turn lead into gold, you know, so something that is not worth much and is dense into something more of more value and more ethereal, if you will. I don't know how to explain it, but as you were saying, I had the last 13 years, because it has been a long run, have been like a series of tsunamis, and obviously that moves a lot of, you know, like afflictive emotions inside, and it's, yes, you go through hardship, you go through pain, a lot of existential questions attack you, and you question everything in your life, and you reprioritize, and then another one comes, and another questioning, and another learning, and a lot moves there. And most of us tend to avoid pain, you know, because it's hurtful and because it's uncomfortable. And what I found in this series of events in my life is that each and every situation that put me in this hardship and in this pressure and in this pain taught me something really, really, really valuable that I incorporated in my life. It took me 13 years to come to order everything, you know, but it was like a process where I came to understand that each thing that moved an afflictive emotion, an uncomfortable emotion, it turned out to become a great, valuable learning. So I came to a model or to a formula, but I don't want to, you know, it's not the cliche of a magic formula that solves everything. It's just like a series of ingredients that help you go through this dense and uncomfortable emotion that sucks and that, you know, smells bad, and turn it into this valuable gold that makes you a more conscious human being, that makes you a more present human being, that allows you to enjoy more life, and it becomes so valuable. And I wouldn't have all those learnings if it wouldn't have been for those hardships. So is that process of transformation from something dense and of apparently no value to something very, very, very valuable that can change your life. So that's why I call it emotional alchemy.
Mm-hmm. I love that. But here, you know, I think a lot of people, though, a lot of people, when they're faced with those kind of challenges in their lives, they succumb to the pressure, to the stress, you know, the mindset changes, depression, all kinds of negative experiences follow, right? But one of the quotes that I love in your book is this one. And I think this says so much about who you are and about the power of this book. Sandy writes, of all the pieces left on the floor, you can decide which ones you want to pick up and which ones you do not, because you no longer want them in your new mosaic of life. And I thought to myself, what a beautiful metaphor, because mosaics are beautiful, but they are made of broken pieces.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And it surely feels like you're broken, that you don't know where to start rebuilding yourself. Most of these experiences leave you really, really in a really bad place at the beginning, you know. But what I came to learn through going over and over again these kind of situations is that those broken pieces are still beautiful parts of you, and that you can reincorporate them in different forms that become a beautiful version of you, a beautiful new version of you, and that you have to let go of that you know, like fixed idea of who you were in order to be able to give birth to the new you that's more wise, that has more compassion, that has more life wisdom, you know. So yes.
I can hear, you know, like, because we're both coaches and we've worked with so many people, I can hear people like, you know, the objections that some people might say, yeah, but that's easy for her to say. She's, you know, successful, she's a writer, etc. Right? That's kind of how we see when you're on the other side of the transformation. But here's what I want people to know is that studies show that the top 5 most stressful life events include, okay, listen to this: death of a loved one, divorce, moving, major illness, and loss of work. And Sandy, how many of those have you had to deal with in the last few years?
5 of 5.
See, I thought it was 4 and you corrected me earlier. 5 of 5. So it's not like, I think this is important because it's not like you've had this like perfect, you know, oh, it was so easy and now I'm selling this book. It's like you went through the dark times, you went through the crap, you know, a lot of lemonade, a lot of lemons, and like there is magic in that journey. So can you share how your experience of, you know, these 5 out of 5 stressful events led you to writing Emotional Alchemy?
Well, and it was 5 out of 5, and some of them were twice, you know, like 2 divorces and 2 serious illnesses, you know. So yeah,
let me just ask you this, like, right? So there's so many, like we talked about the broken pieces. How did you know which pieces to pick up out of all that brokenness?
I didn't have a clue at the beginning, and it was obviously it was a process. But you know what? The first thing I had to come in, you know, I had to come to peace with letting go of all the fixed ideas that I thought I was and my life should be, and that was, I think, the hardest part, like letting control go, because I'm a control freak, you know, by nature, or I like to say that I was. So yes, I think that you know, my head was so hard and so like fixed in these ideas of what should be, and you know, the shoulds and the right thing to do and the right way to do it, and it's my way or no way, you know. And it was covered in so many layers of this that life had to hit me so hard so many times until I understood. And yeah, it was heartbreaking. And well, the thing is, it was this process where I took one piece and I said, okay, I think this one is beautiful because this one has this sparkly part of me, you know, and this other part, well, it's not so sparkly, but I think it's useful. No, so okay, I'll put them both together. These 2, I think now that they won't serve anymore, and it was a process of re-ensembling, and writing the book was part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that going through that now that you're on the other side of this, do you think that you're more able to hear, how should we say, the messages before they become so intense, like these major life issues? You know, like you know how, I mean, I know for myself, I know there have been warning signs that I ignored sometimes. And now I'm, you know, life experience, I'm getting better at listening and catching them before. Do you think that was part of your journey as well?
Yeah, and it took me a long time. It took me a while. But yes, I hope, I mean, I still have, hopefully, a lot of life left. And maybe I'll surely make a lot of mistakes, you know, but I think that, yes, one of the gifts that this gave me was to connect more with my intuition, to listen more, to be more alert about what feels good or doesn't feel good. I was like, I had everything happened in my head, and I was rationalizing everything all the time and working from logic, and doing what was, intelligent from that point of view. And I didn't feel even emotions. Even I come from a background where my mom is a psychologist and my grandmother was a human development counselor. So emotions were talked about in my house, but I don't know if it's like something about my personality and how I was built with my life experiences in childhood. But I took emotions as something that I had to resolve with my mind, not something that I had to feel in my body. So I went every single decision I made it with my mind. And I saw emotions as a problem that had to be solved because I was a problem solver. I was logic, I was rational, I was oriented to results. So everything was managed that way. And for sure, all these experiences have taught me that I need to connect my heart with my brain. I need to listen to my body. I need to pay more attention to what's happening right now and not be, like playing in the future with anxiety. And that obviously connects you with an inner wisdom that we all have, but that some of us forget totally.
Well, what do you now know, or what did you discover about that relationship between the mind and the emotion? Because I mean, I'm really curious about what you're going to say, because like we're like sisters separated at birth. I was the same. I was all about the intellect and education. And so now that there's a connection between them, I even like to say a relationship. What do you now know about thought and emotion?
That they have to work together, that my brain was designed to keep me alive, which is good and is very useful, and my heart was made to make me happy, and that they have to work together in synergy. That if I don't pay attention to my heart and to my feelings, and I work only with the brain, I'm going to be most of the time in fear, because the brain wants to keep me alive. So I'm going to make decisions that won't necessarily make me happy. So I better work on aligning them, make coherence between heart and brain, as the Math Institute tells us, the Heart Math Institute, so they can work in synergy, and then they make a very good team. I feel more confident about my decisions. I take my decisions with more joy, with less fear. Obviously, probably having experienced all these things in my life, like, divorce, cancer, the sickness of my son, the loss of my grandma, the loss of a 12-year corporate job, having to move 3 times in 3 years, everything that happened. I've come to realize that, it all passes, really. It all shall pass. Well, it all passes, and nothing really bad happens. It all, it all accommodates. And you come to a place where, if you decide, and that's part of the ingredients of the that I talk about in the book, if you make the decision to make the best out of what's happening to you, then you're way ahead. If you fall into the victimhood of poor me, why me, always bad things, I have like a cloud raining on me all the time, and why, and you won't get anywhere. You're going to stay stuck. So when you decide that no matter what happens, you're going to make the best out of it, and you're going to find the hidden gift that's always there, it puts you in another place, energetically, emotionally, intellectually. You open up to see different options that you didn't see them before because you were like closed and no, this has to be this way. And so so yes, it has been really enriching for me. And I've read a lot of books, and I come to realize that, I mean, everything is there. The knowledge is there. The knowledge is there. The thing is, most of us don't apply it in our lives until we have no other choice, you know? So what I wanted to do in the book was like to gather everything that worked and that I saw that worked for me, and not only for me, because it has a background, it has an investigation, you know, a theoretical investigation behind about resilience and about positive psychology and studies of what makes people more resilient or yes, adapt better or have this post-traumatic growth. So I took all the knowledge that is out there with all the experience that I had, and saw, okay, yes, this matches, and yes, effectively this happens, and I tried to put it in a packaging that is hopefully, and gratefully it has been in Spanish, makes sense and is easier to digest for a lot of people, and also put it in with practical examples and with practical exercises and tips that you can work on in order to make your resilience muscle stronger.
I have to say, you did a great job at that in the book. Like the practical tools are so easy to follow now, or as I sometimes like to say, they're simple. What's not always easy is sticking to it and using it when you need to. But if you, like, for people who are going to read the book and, you know, really try to put it into practice, you might think it won't make a difference, it's just a book. But what makes a difference is what Sandy's saying, taking that knowledge and putting it into practice in your life. And, you know, one of the things, what you just said about everything that happens, like one of the quotes that, again, I wrote down because it was so good. Everything, and I like that you say, absolutely everything that happens to you can be used as fuel to propel you to something better. And so how does that relate to becoming more resilient?
Totally. I mean, you know, resilience is this has to do with being flexible and has to do with being adaptable. And when you are rigid and when you are fixed in a mindset of victimhood or only seeing like what you're losing and the bad things that are happening, and you focus on that, you become paralyzed. Yeah. When you start working in these tools and start working with gratitude and finding the hidden gift and being more mindful and using humor, sense of humor, and finding the fun about whatever you can tell me, and then you start becoming more flexible and you start adapting better and you start seeing the good. And when you, I mean, our brain is wonderful, because when the brain sees that being in this situation, it's not life-threatening forcefully. I mean, it's like it can be a good thing, and you convince your brain that this has good things that will help you to survive. Like the brain relaxes a little and opens, and then you see a lot of possibilities that you didn't see before that help you move forward.
Yeah. If you could go back in time, like if you were a time traveler and you could go back like 5-10 years, what would you tell younger Sandy Mora about what was to come? Like if you could like say it in 1 or 2 sentences, like what would you tell her to make her feel better?
I think the first thing I would tell her is accept whatever comes. Accept it. Don't resist it. Resisting is futile. It doesn't work. It will only get you sick. It would only get you worse. Accept, open up to the experience and let it go through you in order for you to be transformed by it, because it is here to transform you. If you resist it, you're going to suffer. if you open up and you let it go through you, then you're going to leverage on it. So yes, that like stop resisting and just open up and let it be. It would like the bills. Let it be. Open up and let it be.
Yeah, lovely. You know, I can totally relate to all of this. I love how openly and vulnerably you share your own personal journey, because I think that's what makes it really relatable to people. I want to make sure that I let people know, and we're just about to wrap up here, that the links to buy Sandy Mora's book, Emotional Alchemy, on Amazon are all in the description that you'll see on this video. And Sandy, it has just been such a pleasure, first of all, to read your book. I was fortunate to get an early copy, but to also to know you and to see your transformation. You really are an alchemist, like probably more than anyone I know. And I think this book can help so many people in so many ways. And thank you for sharing your amazing journey.
Thank you so much for being part of it, because you know you've been accompanying me for the last 6 years. So you've been a witness, but you've been also a light on the way. So thank you so much for that. And well, the book is now available in paperback. So now there's Kindle and paperback in English.
And Audible, right? Or
Audible is only in Spanish. I don't have it in English. Hopefully I will, but for now you can find it in softcover and Kindle. And you also can find me here in Facebook and in en.sandy with Y, middle dash, how do you call that?
Yeah, dash
Mora, MORA.com. And well, I'll be happy to talk with whomever needs to talk, and hopefully you will enjoy the book. Really, it's a very easy to read book. It's very light, although it touches very heavy moments in life. I try to do it with humor and lightness, and to make it very, very understandable, because I truly believe that these ingredients and these tools can make a huge difference in how you're living the hardship, whatever it is that you're going through.
Yeah. And remember, you can also check out her podcast, The Lemonade Club. And for those of you who love Facebook, like we do, you can find her on Facebook at Sandi Amora Emotional Alchemy, right?
Right.
Yeah. So however you need to find her, just go and find the book, listen to her conversations on the Lemonade Club. This work is transformational, and she is the most authentic guide for it, because she's lived it, and that you don't get that very much in today's world, where everything looks good on Instagram and nobody's ever had any problems. So to have a guide like Sandy Mora, who's really walked the walk and talked the talk, like that's a gift that you won't regret at all, to invest in her book and whatever else she's planning to do. You never know. There's more to come, I'm sure.
For sure. I'm having a TEDx talk next week, so stay tuned.
Right. Can you tell us quickly? I was going to write it down and then I forgot, so I'm glad you brought it up. TEDx, it's the 19th?
Yes, it's the 19th, but I don't know when it will be available in the global platform, but for sure I'll put it in all my social media.
Right, and then you'll have 20 minutes of this conversation, which will go even deeper. So thanks for joining us. Thank you, Sandy, for writing the book and for sharing your journey so generously. It's been such a great pleasure.
Thank you for being here with me. Thank you so much. I love you very much. And thank you for everyone who connected. See you soon. I hope you like the book. Thank you to the book fair, also to the U.S. first virtual book fair. And stay tuned, because you have a lot of options, but buy Emotional Alchemy.
That's right.